Namaste everyone and welcome to the live session of Bharat Bhagya Vidhata. It's been a pleasure talking to you all for so many times, and it's really great to come back again and talk about one of the most watershed moments in the history of the world. We are living at end of time, and there have been some incidents, as all of you know, in Afghanistan which have changed the direction of the whole world's geopolitics. Now, in past 3 to 4 years, things have changed in world's geopolitics so drastically that one life might not be sufficient to capture all of the analysis, all of the reasoning which goes behind this geopolitics. But I'll try and contain as much as possible my analysis to the point, and we'll begin with the analysis of how India and what India can do when Taliban comes to power. And Taliban has come to power. So I was reading various articles on this topic. I was reading various books on this topic. I was watching various videos, podcasts, n number of things. My research team has helped me a lot on this. We have done research on this prior also. We have a couple of articles on Bharat Bhagya Vidhata's website. You can refer to them. So I have been looking out for every and any material on this topic I could get my hands on, and there are some points which I have come across, and we'll go it in a chronological and logical way when we approach India, Afghanistan, Taliban and the world. So the first point which I'm going to talk about is why this happened. Here India is going to be playing a very small part, or influence of India, indulgence of India in why this happened has played a very small part, but this small part is a result of decided omission by India in the peace talks initiated by Taliban. What happened was, there were back channel talks during Trump's regime with the Taliban, where and I won't be pronouncing Taliban as the Taliban. A lot of people even in India do it. It's a proper noun, so you can pronounce it all the way. I'll be doing it in my Marathi way, which is Taliban. The Taliban and the US government, it were in coverted talks since 5 to 6 years. They resulted into a fruitful kind of summit, and then they made it overt talks, which eventually turned out on the peace agreement. So there was a US special envoy, there were representatives from the Taliban, and they met quite a few times in the Middle East in different forums, and they came with a peace agreement. Peace agreement was basically twofold. One was the part which America had to do, and one was the part which Taliban was to do, and there was no fixed timeline. There was a general timeline which was laid down, but there was no enforcement mechanism to enforce this timeline. There was no timeline fixed on who will do what first. Peace agreement was just to officiate America's exit from Afghanistan. What do we say? In different property agreements, movable. Now this is again real estate. Afghanistan is a real estate issue. Kashmir is a real estate issue. One of our professors, Mr. Shroff, Vismay Shroff, you always use this analogy, and this was a beautiful logic, that all the international law problems are a part of real estate dispute. So Afghanistan was also a part of real estate dispute, and in generally in our day-to-day life, when we do a real estate dispute, what we do is we try and make everything on paper, officiate it. So US also did the same thing, that okay, we are leaving, that's final, but just to assure the world and the stakeholders in writing that when we are leaving Afghanistan, we won't leave it in shambles. We'll put out a mechanism in Afghanistan on who will take that power, who will share the power, blah 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 blah, and then we will live like responsible superpowers of the world. You are seeing what is happening de facto. The peace agreement has gone already to dogs. It was gone to dogs since it was signed it. And in this whole process, India had a good opportunity to be involved in these peace talks. Many countries which were not directly in Afghanistan, which did not have any direct interest in Afghanistan, but supplementary interests were affected in Afghanistan. That's why they involved themselves voluntarily in the peace talks at the cost of giving Taliban legitimacy. The fix that India was in was, if we are involving in the talks, if we are attending the talks as official representatives of the Republic of India, then we will have to recognize Taliban as a party to the agreement. And recognizing Taliban as a party to agreement is a difficult decision for India, because Taliban and India have established contacts only once, and that too in a very unfortunate situation. When India's IC-814 was hijacked from Nepal, went to Pakistan, then Dubai, and then back to Kandahar, which is in present day Afghanistan. And at that point of time, when Afghanistan was ruling, this is 1999, 2000. So 1999, 31st December ke pehle, at that point of time, that was the only point when India had opened talks with Afghanistan with Taliban for this issue. So this was an unfortunate incident. We in no future wished to establish contacts with Taliban. So the fix for India was that, okay, we will sit for talks, but then we will have to recognize Taliban as a party. Recognize that Taliban has a legitimate interest in all the talks and issues in Afghanistan, which we don't recognize. We still consider Taliban as a terrorist organization, and rightly so. And this is not a BJP Congress issue. This is a Indian government issue of national security. Taliban funded organizations like Haqqani Network, Al Qaeda, LET. Now they might sound different, okay, and they are different for that matter. But sources of funding, people in charge, their contacts, their acquaintances are nearly and very closely engaged. So Taliban has a direct or indirect hand in a lot of attacks which were made, terrorist attacks which happened in India for the past 2 decades. So India is a little hesitant to recognize Taliban as a party. So we will complete this and wrap up to the next issue. So that's why India did not participate in the peace talks. And because it did not participate in the peace talks, India could not cut a favorable deal for itself. That, okay, you give us in writing that Afghanistan soil will not be used for against even any US interests nor India's interests. Okay, so जो लिस्ट है कि जिन देशों के अगेंस्ट तालिबान कोई भी अफगानी सॉइल पे एक्शंस या फिर प्लानिंग नहीं करेगा, वी कुड हैव एडेड इंडियाज नेम बाय कटिंग सम सॉर्ट ऑफ डील इन the peace talks, but India sent unofficial members, which Indian government has not admitted to the talks, where we were just observers in the peace talks. Now, mere observers is just basically taking notes of what is happening and debriefing the Afghanistan desk and the MEA back in India. There's no productive action from India's side to further the peace talks. Okay, so India could have cut a deal, but there were some problems for cutting the deal because recognition of Taliban was a huge issue to India. The second point, which we are now going to move forward to, that how did this happen? Why did this happen? From April, Taliban started its advance, a very carefully planned advance. This is not, let's come to terms with this. Taliban and terrorist organization might sound like an army of butchers or a disorganized men with gun. That is not the case. Taliban, which has come or arrived in the global scenario from April 2021, has arisen as a much professional body or a much professional organization. And I am not willing to give legitimacy by calling Taliban a organization or a body. But if you see Taliban's activities before 2015-16 and Taliban's activities right now, there is a tremendous change in approach. There is a tremendous change in the way they are dealing with situations. That has no way mitigated the human rights violations, any curtailment of rights of women and minorities. That is not reduced. But I am saying that the way they are dealing with, let's say, international bodies, the way they are dealing with on ground situations, they are dealing with public property, public in general, is very different. I am not saying it good, bad, beautiful, ugly. I am just saying it's different. It's a little professional and it is a organized game which has been planned from April. They have achieved their target, and the first thing when they captured Kabul was they declared end to war. Now, in international law of conflict, a person can declare start to war and end to war when the body, the organization is a state. A state can declare war. A state can declare end of war. The approach of Taliban right now is to gain or to behave in such a way as if they are the state. Okay. So the first thing when they captured the presidential palace in Kabul was they declared end of war, meaning that Taliban being a legitimate state or Afghanistan being a legitimate state controlled by Taliban, and there is a transfer of power, and now Taliban has taken over Afghanistan, and the first thing when the Afghanistan government ruled by Taliban comes into power, the first thing they do is they end the war. This is a very state-like action or behavior by the Taliban. But how did this happen? Why was Afghanistan government previous of Ashraf Ghani not capable of handling the advance of Taliban? The first reason is that Afghanistan governments right from 1960s, 70s and then further on were made stronger than required. I am choosing my words very carefully. The Afghani governments in the past and till the present were never made strong enough. They were made just strong enough to fulfill the causes of their masters and nothing further. The Afghanistan government was never even allowed to become stronger on its own means. It was always weakened by some internal unrest, some political power demanding more power, a political leader demanding more power. And that was all organized carefully by international masters of interests in Afghanistan. Say US, China, Russia, Britain, Pakistan. We'll come to Pakistan. That's a very important topic. So, a weak Afghanistan government. Second is, Afghanistan government was not a party or a party who had bargaining power in the peace talks. If you see, the bargaining power was with US, not really. The bargaining power was definitely with the Taliban. But what was the bargaining power? The Afghan government was no good than the unofficial Indian people who went there as observers. Afghanistan government has complained about this treatment. Afghanistan government has complained about this status which they were given in the peace talk. Afghanistan government has repeatedly made demands that we are also the stakeholders in Afghanistan and we should be enabled as much as the Taliban is enabled in Afghanistan. Okay? But that did not happen. So de facto, what happened in Afghanistan with this peace talk or peace agreement or arrangement treaty, whatever you call it, is a transfer of power. The transfer of power was from the United States of America to the Taliban. As simple. That's the de facto position. De jure position, which is in law, in writing, is basically, oh, please, you don't use your Afghan soil against our interest, we will withdraw our troops. Okay, so this is like the class monitor. Taliban is the class monitor, and US is a teacher. And teacher leaves the classroom on trusting the monitor, who has behaved mischievously for years. But then teacher says, okay, I'll leave the classroom only if you behave properly and control the class properly. The teacher, recess का बेल बज गया है, पीरियड खत्म हो गया है, द टीचर इज ओवर टाइम्ड इन दैट क्लास, उसको बाहर निकलना ही है कैसे भी करके, उसका दूसरा क्लास है, प्रोबेबली नॉर्थ कोरिया और सीरिया, उसका दूसरा क्लास है, उसको निकलना है उस क्लासरूम से, तो वो कुछ भी करके ही शी विल टेल एवरीथिंग एंड एनीथिंग, क्या ये करो वो करो, बोर्ड पे नाम लिखो, उस पे 3 क्रॉस करो, वॉट एवर यू डू, बट यू मेंटेन पीस इन क्लास एंड नथिंग which is goes against my interest should be talked or done inside the class. Only then I'm leaving. The monitor knows very well that one day or the another the teacher has to leave. ये क्या मोर्चा बैठ नहीं सकती, अंदर आंदोलन के लिए बैठ नहीं सकती, उसको निकलना है और उसको जल्दी से जल्दी निकलना है. तो we'll also agree in terms. In principle तो मैं कुछ चांद भी मांग लूंगा. So in principle Taliban agreed to everything. But in this, the previous monitor, who was corrupt but a good monitor, was never consulted. And now the previous monitor, because of this bad monitor, has to flee just after the teacher, before the bad monitor comes to the good monitor. So आप समझिए, basically a desperate to leave US, officiating their exit. Taliban knows they have to exit one day or the another, promising everything to them, knowing that once they leave, hum hi hai idhar. That is the situation. And Afghanistan, in all this picture, you don't see Afghanistan government. You don't see Ashraf Ghani's government being given any assured choice, chance to do anything. No choice, no chance. कि we'll give you a chance कि हम इतने टाइम रहेंगे, we will observe your power sharing. If we are happy with your power sharing, only then we'll leave. तो दोनों जो I'll appoint two monitors, 2 for these rows, 1 for these 2 rows, 1 for these 2 rows. I'll see how you are doing your job, only then I'll leave. US did not do this thing. US left कि कुछ करना है वो करो, शांति रखना चाहिए क्लास में, बाहर आवाज नहीं आना चाहिए, and they left. So now going to this is the whole situation in Afghanistan right now. Coming to what India now has to do. I'm going to actually put a very hilarious proposition in front of you and then start my analysis from there. That first, after Taliban comes to power, what is India's first priority? First priority of India is to take Indian citizens, and there are 2 types of Indian citizens, one with diplomatic immunity, one without diplomatic immunity. So the people who have so-called diplomatic immunity, I will say, will be spared by Taliban. Because Taliban is behaving like a state. They want legitimacy. हाथ पे बंदूक हो तो फिर भी legitimacy चाहिए मेरे को. ठीक है? So they will definitely let the people who have a diplomatic immunity, who are associated with India, are Indian citizens, leave Afghanistan. Like people in embassy, people in different projects of India, so on and so forth. People who don't have a diplomatic immunity, like businessmen, workers, other types of people, I am also sure that Taliban also will allow evacuation of these people. Now, that is the first priority of India. India will complete and fulfill this priority in a month's time. They will bring it by road, they will bring them by water, they will send them to Iran, Iraq, and then udhar se pani se leke aayenge. And then 5 years down the line, Akshay Kumar will make a movie on this. ठीक है, तो ये दिमाग में रख लो. So that first India's priority will actually be relatively easily fulfilled because of state-like behavior of the Taliban. Second point, helping Afghans who want to leave. you have seen for past few days horrible picture coming from the Kabul International Airport. Neighboring countries, India is a neighbor of Afghanistan. People will say, where do we share borders? We share a border with Afghanistan in Jammu and Kashmir. If you see the northwestern tip of Kashmir, the crown, the actual crown in the map, एक जाता है China, एक जाता है China's border, not to China. एक जाता है towards China, one goes towards northern Pakistan, northwestern frontier province. उसके ऊपर एक छोटा सा, मतलब छोटा मतलब रिलेटिवली छोटा बॉर्डर हम शेयर करते हैं विथ अफगानिस्तान. सो इफ अफगान पीपल वर टू कम इन टू इंडिया, then should India let these people inside? My first request and my first idea would be that first evacuate the vulnerable citizens. The vulnerable citizens are religious minorities, and all religious minorities, not just Hindu, Sikhs, but Christians, Jews, Ahmadiyas, Baluchs, if people and people who are willing to come. ठीक है, इंडिया में तो सब आना चाहते हैं. आई हैव नो डाउट, गिवन अ चॉइस वेयर यू विल गो, विल यू गो टू ईरान, पाकिस्तान और इंडिया? आई एम श्योर इंडिया हैज गेन्ड नेम इनफ दैट पीपल इन अफगानिस्तान विल चूज इंडिया. बट देन पश्तून्स, बलोच, अहमदियाज, सिख्स, हिंदूज, क्रिश्चियंस, जैन्स, बुद्धिस्ट, एवरी माइनॉरिटी, religious sectarian minority has to be brought back to India. उसके बाद क्या करना है? You decide whether they want to repatriate or whatever, but that is further course of action. My first is that to be shown as the good brother in South Asia, SAARC, different organizations, India must take religious refugees from Afghanistan. Why? Because the logic is simple. Tomorrow, India has a strong footing when it goes on the international stage and says that when there was no one to help, we helped Afghanistan or Afghan people in good and bad. Okay? So it's just one of the benefits is and second is the people will actually be saved. Religious persecution होने ही वाला है. There is no doubt. People are going to get killed only because they are of a certain religion. Right now, the government has issued circular that we will rescue Hindu and Sikhs. I'm a little surprised because Jains are not there, Buddhists are not there. There are a lot of Buddhists in Afghanistan. Christians are not there. Jews are not there. It's a little concerning for me that Indian government only wishes to bring back Hindus and Sikhs. Now, what definition they are applying, we'll have to see. So that's about what are we going to do about we have one question. I'll take actually a quick question because I've been talking. What about their employment? We can't even feed our people. I think humanitarian grounds is the largest reason that we should take them in. कितने से लोग होंगे? We have so many people to feed here. Anyway, we will feed everyone. और उनको भी करेंगे, उनको स्पेशल करेंगे बिकॉज देखो, जिनको हमें खाना देना है वो तो इसी देश के नागरिक हैं. जिनको हम पनाह दे रहे हैं, द पीपल हु आर वी आर गिविंग रिफ्यूज, दे हैव टू लीव एवरीथिंग बिहाइंड एंड कम बैक टू अ लैंड विच डजंट बिलोंग टू देम. दे आर नॉट हियर फॉर परमानेंट रेसिडेंस. दे डोंट नो वेदर दे आर फॉर परमानेंट रेसिडेंस. प्लीज, आई मीन इंडिया हैज अ लार्जर पॉपुलेशन, आई अग्री टू दैट रीजन, बट ह्यूमैनिटेरियन असिस्टेंस मस्ट बी गिवन. After verification, agreed, because people can disguise and there is no way of recognizing whether you are Hindu or a Sikh, or I can just say and I think I'm a Hindu, I'm a practicing Hindu, whatever. But the point here is that religious minorities have to be taken in on humanitarian grounds only. Secondly, recognition of Taliban. Now, recognition of Taliban and dealing with Taliban regime. I am going to actually combine these 2 points. That whether, first of all, dealing with Taliban is just an after result of recognition of Taliban. Should we recognize Taliban? Very frankly, And very sadly, I have to say that we are left with no other choice but to recognize Taliban. How to recognize Taliban is also one question. My suggestion is that make a special envoy to Afghanistan, a special envoy, a special committee to Afghanistan, who will recognize the Afghanistan government. ठीक है, ट्रांसफर ऑफ पावर हुआ है, तालिबान ने कैप्चर किया है, agreed. But for our diplomatic interests, strategic interests, which go far beyond the ego and the wounds of 1999, I do not completely disagree to the point that yes, there have been some wounds which have been inflicted on us by the Taliban, but with careful negotiations, concentrated efforts, Indian diplomacy has the potential to neutralize the Taliban in diplomacy. Baki ka national security should be taken care of. I am not assuming that it will be taken care of. Should be taken care of, but at least if there is a negotiation with India, if there are open talks with India, and if Taliban in future feels that we do have interests, our interests in India, and maintaining relations with India is going to benefit us, then even if Pakistan orders them, instructs them, they will be hesitant to use their soil against the Indian people. I am not saying anything with surety or conviction. I am just building a hypothesis here that what if we recognize Taliban? What if we deal with them with a special envoy, a special committee who understands Afghanistan and Taliban, and we also gain some strategic depth which we have lost completely in Afghanistan. What if we don't recognize Taliban and Afghanistan government? Then simply that part of land, that piece of land will be just black in our map. No man's land. Kuch bhi, hole in the planet. Nothing, because legally we are not, वो तो सब ना, then we'll have to do everything secretly. अपने को कोई किसको भेजना है, उधर इधर से पाकिस्तान भेजो, या फिर इधर से दुबई भेजो, दुबई से अफगानिस्तान भेजो, something like that. So these shady things our government will be required to do. So if you remember, we had stopped the airspace to Pakistan. So if we had to go to Pakistan, we had to go to Dubai, then from Dubai or to Oman, Oman से then Pakistan. So अगर अपने business interests है, our security interests are there, our strategic interests are there, then to contain those interests, we will have to actually recognize Taliban. We are actually not left with any other choice. Okay, now this is how we recognize. If we recognize Taliban, if we don't recognize Taliban, how we deal with Taliban is not an issue at all. Now we'll go to, if we recognize Taliban, how do we deal with Taliban? First point, Taliban has agreed to not allow any terrorist group to operate on the soil of Afghanistan and other than them. ठीक है, so इस गली में एक ही गुंडा हो सकता है और वो गुंडा है हम. That is basically what is Taliban saying right now. Okay, we will not allow any terrorist group on the soil of Afghanistan, in bracket, except us, because who are we? We are a terrorist organization. Okay. Now, Indian assets are frequently targeted by Haqqani group. The question comes that if Haqqani group is a sub part or cousin organization of the Taliban, then what surety and what enforcement mechanism is Taliban going to apply to protect Indian assets? We really don't know. So that is where we open negotiations with Taliban. We regain our strategy. Second is, and this is how we deal with Taliban, that everything happens in negotiations. Our embassy, their embassy is allowed to operate here, and people and representatives of Taliban are given permission to come to India and operate. So that will be the picture, and all the further dealings will be and must be done through very concentrated, very, very, very structured negotiations with the Taliban. Now, third point and last point of this live, which is Pakistan. Pakistan and China also. I'll take China. So in office today, I was discussing this proposition with my friend that a lot. First of all, Afghanistan and Pakistan share a common border and a long border and a very poorly protected border. Three sentences: long border, common border, and a poorly protected border. So it's not as heavily guarded as the India-Pakistan LOC and the international line. It is a poorly protected border. So there will be a lot of refugees coming in. Pakistan definitely can't shift its military from Indian border to Afghan border because they have more to lose if they decrease their presence on the Indian border. But so there will be a lot of migration of the Afghanistan people in Pakistan. That will burden Pakistan even further. Actually, Pakistan's economic condition right now is so poor, so fragile that they cannot actually afford refugees. What will Pakistan do? Pakistan bhik ka katora leke jayega to China. What else can be expected of Pakistan? And China will probably allow this funding to refugees or support to Pakistan to help, feed the refugees and protect the refugees, whatever the plan is. China just might train a anti-Taliban Afghani group inside Pakistan. That's my proposition. I mean, you are very free to comment on it, but China just might train a anti-Taliban group, not with the intention of creating another devil, but to countering Taliban, with the potential of countering Taliban with Pakistan's interest, because Chinese military directly can't interfere with Afghanistan and Taliban, everything. They don't want to. So they secretly will help Pakistan in training a anti-Taliban pro-Afghanistan democratic group in Pakistan. And if Taliban finds it out, then China will raise its hand and say, oh, this is all Pakistan doing. China could use that group in future as a leverage to further their negotiations with the Taliban. क्योंकि तालिबान को इन डी फैक्टो पता होगा कि ये एंटी तालिबान ग्रुप विच इज इन पाकिस्तान ये कौन कंट्रोल कर रहा है और कौन फंड कर रहा है. सो इफ थिंग्स आर आई विल मेक एन ऑफर यू कैन रिफ्यूज, ऐसा अगर कोई चाइना का प्रोपोजिशन आ गया दैट दे विल डेफिनेटली नो दैट हैज टू डू समथिंग विद दैट एंटी तालिबान ग्रुप सिटिंग इन पाकिस्तान. सो दैट इज द फर्स्ट चाइनीज बेनिफिट which China might get by training this group. The second benefit it might get is that basically it can also threaten threaten Pakistan with it. You do only this militant group which we have and you have trained can just turn its guns 180 degree on you and shoot you out. So the experiment of training a militant group which is capable of at least threatening the Taliban group might be in making by China on the soil of Pakistan. Pakistan तो अभी मतलब it's a leave and license agreement पे. वो कोई भी आओ कोई भी जाओ कुछ भी करो, they really can't do anything. और चाइना का वो perpetual 99 years पे उसने खरीद लिया है पाकिस्तान को, चाइना on a lease agreement basically. And so this is the whole proposition which I was discussing. Now coming to what are Pakistan's interests. Pakistan thinks that we are the reason. Pakistan is still in that pride. Oh, it's a false pride, but it is in a pride. Ki all of what you are seeing the Taliban which has captured everything. We are one of the most prominent reasons what Pakistan the Taliban has achieved. It's like the proud mother saying कि देखो बच्चे ने क्या किया है. और proud teacher, I would again give the not mother but teacher कि टीचर ने कुछ किया नहीं होता, बच्चे ने सब मेहनत की होती है. बट प्राइज डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेरेमनी टीचर बोलते कि it's my training, it's my hard work also and everything like that. So Pakistan is just like the teacher who did nothing but his or her pupil has got the first prize in a wrong way. I love one of the sentence, and the problem with this feeling or false pride is that if you have helped someone to gain power or anything, you must not remind him again and again कि मेरे वजह से मिला है, ये मैंने किया है, ये देखो मैं, you have to owe me something. That is very bad. You have to pull it out strategically. You have to extract what you owe, what he owes to you, or what she owes to you very strategically from the person who is in power. Because in the end, that person in the Taliban is right now in power. You can't remind Taliban again and again ki we made you sit here. We are the kingmakers. Never. Pakistan will make this mistake. I'm so sure about Pakistan. Pakistan will make this mistake. And Pakistan, who was thinking Taliban is our toy, the situation is actually different. Pakistan is Taliban's toy. Pakistan's ground was exploited and used by Taliban to train their kids. It was a very fertile ground for Talibani leaders to go out to different countries like Russia, Iran, China to make some deals, to cut some deals. So China को लग रहा है कि ये तो सब मेरे आंगन में हो रहा है, ये सब इस सब पे मेरा कंट्रोल है. That's not the case. The case is Taliban is laughing on Pakistan right now कि ये बहुत चलने दो, they are like जैसा चल रहा है चलने दो, जब टाइम आएगा तब दिखाएंगे. So Pakistan is going to lose heavily in this. And now what is the future? I personally believe that Afghanistan and Taliban will implode. Afghanistan will remain. It might be taken over by Trusteeship Organization Council again, which will be rejuvenated just for taking over Afghanistan. I don't know what might be done. But the conclusion is that Taliban will implode now or somewhere in near future because सभी बाजीराव है. Taliban में everyone has gun ना. तो soldiers have guns but not everyone has guns. Taliban में everyone has guns. So और सब सरदार है. खुद ने सबको डिक्लेयर कर दिया. Now if there is any reorganization within Taliban and a group of Taliban leaders don't agree with this reorganization, they rebel. Then some other group rebels. So it will become just like what India was before 1857 के पहले. 1818 से 1857 के बीच में जो इंडिया था, that everyone had a princely state. छोटे छोटे सरदार भी उठ के डिक्लेयर करते कि हाँ हम राजे हैं इस गांव के. वैसे होने वाला है तालिबान के साथ. एंड इन द एंड एवरीथिंग इज गोइंग टू गो टू सॉइल. Some foreign country, foreign organization, probably China, probably Russia, America, we don't know, is going to take over Afghanistan and rule it again, and Taliban is going to be finished by their own deeds or misdeeds, if I might say. So with this, I think it's a good time to conclude my live session. I think a lot of people are attending it continuously for a very long time. I'm very grateful to people who have attended this for a very long time. If there are any questions from your side, I will be happy to actually answer them. But again, I think that would be all from my side. I think I have covered it comprehensively enough. But again, this video will be there on Instagram. This video will be there on YouTube also. You can share this with your friends. It's a little longer, but does make sense to me at least. And I think I'm sure it does make sense to a lot of you. I don't know if this is a sarcastic question or it's a real question, because this is exactly what I explained for last 40-45 minutes in Katharva. I don't know if this is like a serious question or not, but this is what I have been explaining for the past 40 minutes. Is Taliban... I am personally of the belief that Taliban is behaving like a state, but वो क्या बोलते हैं, बकरी के स्किन में लोमड़ी है. It's just a wolf in a sheep's hide. ठीक है. So no worries, Atharva. You can watch this live again. I will be posting this on my Instagram page, and on the YouTube channel of Bharat Bhagya Vidhata. No, it's not liberal. It's a jihadi organization. Yeah, it's not even near of what we can even call left or right to the center when it comes to religion. So yeah, it's not becoming liberal, not anytime soon. But that is all from my side. We have one more question. I think वंशुल का ही question क्या? नहीं, I think 2 questions हो गए हैं. All right, that's all. Thank you so much for joining today's live. I'll be making these lives very frequent now, and with this assurity, we'll take today's leave. Thank you so much. Good night, Jai Hind, and take care, everyone. Share this live with everyone you know. Follow this channel, and that's it. Follow the channel, share our content, make us big. Yeah. Okay. Is there a possibility of Taliban occupying Pakistan? No. China won't let it happen. China won't, because China wants a total dominance over Pakistan. China would not agree to share Pakistan with anyone. It's their sole proprietorship and patent, full complete ownership of Pakistan is with China. So it won't share Pakistan with Taliban, never. Okay. So yeah, anyway, thank you so much. Okay. I think I'll close on this live. Thank you so much. And if there are any questions, do DM me. I will take those questions.